Every 3 years, it's our responsibility as a church to elect new trustees. The trustees are responsible for the good and proper running of our church. But more than that, they are our spiritual leaders. It's the trustees that provide us with spiritual vision and direction for the life of our whole community. So who would make a good trustee? As I find myself prayerfully considering that question, I find a few other questions helpful to have in my mind. Firstly, are they spiritually mature? The church is a spiritual family, requiring a strong spiritual foundation. So we need spiritual leaders. People that love Jesus with all of their hearts. People whose love for him oozes out of everything they say and all that they do.
Honestly, we're not looking for perfection. In fact, far from it. These are aspirations, things that we aspire to. It's about a posture of our hearts.
Secondly, do they have a heart for this church? Generally speaking, there are always those that can point out the faults, tell us what's wrong, criticise, and maybe moan just a little bit too much. And yes, it happens in church life as well. That's not a good role of a trustee. We do need trustees, of course, that see the reality of where things are. Not everything is perfect, not by a long way. We need to see where we are, but also we need trustees with real faith to believe in what God is calling us to become, to see the direction that he's calling us in, to see the journey that we are on, and to be thrilled and excited for all that God is doing among us. Thirdly, a trustee needs to have leadership qualities. It's a leadership role. Rarely you will get thanked for being a trustee, but you will get talked at, or maybe even moaned at a little if things are perceived not to be right. It's not so much a right or a reward, but being a trustee is a responsibility. And we need leaders that can step into that responsible role and make exciting and sometimes difficult decisions. Fourthly, are they servant-hearted? Do they go the extra mile? Do they put themselves out for others? Are they always looking for ways in which they can serve, rolling up their sleeves and getting involved? It's the servant leader, above all else, that the Bible speaks of the most. So I guess as we ask the question, who would make a good trustee? As we prayerfully reflect together, we find these other questions helpful. Are they spiritually mature? Do they have a real heart for this church? Do they have leadership qualities? And are they servant-hearted? And so, having answered all those questions, we begin to see, is God calling them to this role at this time?